Local Governmental Operations, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar. Chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. Question is on the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar. All those in favor will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 55 and the nays are 1. The bill on the local consent calendar, having received requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Moving on, House Bill 14, Ms. Secretary.
House Bill 14 by Representative Carpenter the fourth and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 3 of Title 50 of the official code of Georgia annotated related to other state symbols so as to designate cornbread as the official state bread of Georgia, to provide legislative findings and declarations, to write for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Brash, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules are calling a substitute to House Bill 14, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 50 of the official code of Georgia annotated related to state government so as to enact the Georgia Music Office and Music Ready Communities Act and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the 4th. 46, I'm sorry. 46.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, we've had a little bit of a contentious afternoon on some of these bills, and I want everybody to know I still love you, whether you voted with me or against me, and this is one of those types of bills that we all come back together. You know, it's been said by many that music is the universal, language of love. And I will tell you right now, I have zero musical ability. Can't carry a tune, can't play any kind of instrument in the world, but there isn't anybody in this room that loves music more than I do, especially live music. Grew up in Macon, Georgia, which is sort of the epicenter of much of the great R&B music in this state, as well as the birthplace of Southern rock and roll. We have many fantastic musicians that come from the state of Georgia. Let me run through a few of them. I'll start in my hometown of Macon, where Little Richard first burst on the scene. And Otis Redding, he was from just outside of Macon. The first deer I ever killed was on the Redding Ranch out in Jones County, Georgia, of their state. Of course, we've had the Allman Brothers and all the great acts with Capricorn Music and Jason Aldean these days with country music, all coming out of Macon. And after I got out of law school, I settled in Athens, Georgia, and goodness, it was right at the epicenter of the explosion of new music coming out of Athens, where we had the B-52s and REM and Widespread Panic and many others from there. We've got James Brown from Augusta, Georgia, the godfather of soul. Ma Rainey from Columbus, sort of the grandmother of the blues. We've got Christian rock bands, Third Day and Casting Crowns, from here in the Atlanta area. Atlanta also has tremendous hip-hop and R&B music with Usher, Outkast, Ludacris, TLC, CeeLo Green, all hailing from here and recording here. Other great country acts in Georgia: Alan Jackson from down in Noonan, Georgia. Sugarland. We've got Luke Bryan, Trisha Yearwood out of Monticello, Travis Tritt. I could go on and on. Now let me tell you something. Y'all get all those names that I just told you? I forgot the senator from the 26. He may not be as famous or made as much money at it, but he's recorded. Has a music festival every spring I'm invited to. So let y'all in on a little secret about how weird I am, how eclectic I am. In high school, grew up in Macon. I went to the Macon Mall every weekend to Camelot Music. And the manager, a fellow named Lee, African-American guy, and I were good buddies, and he introduced me to so much music. Y'all will laugh at this. I would buy an 8-track tape almost every weekend in high school. I was working at the YMCA, and I'd save up my money to put some gas in my old ragged-out Mustang II, and I'd get a new tape of some sort, eventually grew into cassette tapes, and maybe have enough money for a date on the weekend. But I was exposed to all kind of music, and I loved it all. Every single musician I just named, except for Ma Rainey, are now on Spotify playlist of mine. Am I crazy or what? That's a wide range of musical taste. And one of my favorite days in here last year or two ago was when George Clinton from Parliament and Funkadelic, Senator from 26, you talk about Superfly. He was dressed like Superfly when he came in there, and I got my picture made with him because I remembered in high school going to the Macon Coliseum and seeing Parliament Funkadelic concert there where that spaceship came down on the stage and they let them out of there. So I like it all. I like it all, and it is a true asset of this state. We've got music studios all over. Athens has them, recording studios. Macon has the old Capricorn Studios is back recording these days, and it's open for the public. We are spending all kind of money, tax benefits, to promote the movie industry here in our state, and we are spending zero for the music industry. It's all about the movies. We've got our own homegrown artists. I just want us to have a chance to promote them. And that is all we're doing with this bill, which is House Bill 14. Representative Carpenter got it started over there and sent it to us. We perfected it and made it a little bit better. But it just creates the Georgia Music Office and Music Ready Communities Act. It is no appropriation unless we decide to do it, and we think it will take extremely little money. If we want to market our musicians, promote our concerts, advertise, do public relations, community relations to try to build these music industries in our state. We got it going on. We've got all the artists that you could ask for here, but we need to grow our music industry just like we do others, and this is the cheapest way I can think of, just to set up a department. And this may be just 1 or 2 people, for all we know, under the Department of Economic Development. So let's get going and try to promote our musicians. Now, we were sitting here fighting earlier, but this is a joint enterprise, a bipartisan bill. Senator from the 39th asked me to help her with it, and I said, I'm all in. This is not a Democratic bill. It is not a Republican bill. This isn't any kind of racial bill at all. It's got them all. Anybody that can promote music in the state of Georgia, I'm behind them, and I think it's an asset, a real talent base here, and would ask you to please help me and let's get something going where we can have grants and promotions and music and festivals. Even the senator from the 26th Festival down in Macon, we'll try to promote that, get him some customers there. Mr. President, I'm happy to yield the well, or I'll take any questions that the crowd has, even about my musical taste.
You do have a question from probably the biggest music lover in here, and the senator from the 8th.
Little Elvis,
Thank you,
yield.
Mr. President. The Senator yield.
I would be happy to for my
Senator, I
Elvis
just want to
loving
make
friend.
sure that you're really up on your music knowledge.
Just
Can you
don't make
tell
me
the members
sing.
of this
Don't make
body?
me sing.
Sir?
Don't make me sing.
Well, I just want to ask this. I wonder if you could prove your knowledge by telling the members of this body who the greatest solo recording artist of all time was.
Well, they called him the king for a reason. Elvis Presley. Elvis Aaron Presley.
Thank you, Senator.
I was born in Mississippi, so I got a connection to him as well. All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Senator's yielded. Recognize Senator from the 39th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I want to thank my friend from District 46 who has already laid out the reasons to vote yes on this bill. And I won't belabor the issue, but I do want to underscore just a few points. As you well know, Georgia is a state that believes in economic development. We focus on industries that create jobs, attract businesses, and drive growth. And today, right now, we have the opportunity to do the same for one of our most powerful but often overlooked economic engines, music. Georgia's music industry is a $5 billion powerhouse supporting over 70,000 jobs across the state. It fuels tourism, hospitality, digital media, and small businesses. Our music legacy, which spans hip-hop, country, gospel, and rock, has made Georgia a global cultural force. But culture alone doesn't create jobs. Focus does, and strategy does. This bill builds on our economic momentum, ensuring that music has the structure and the coordination to grow. We've seen what happens when Georgia prioritizes industries like manufacturing, technology, and logistics. Music deserves the same deliberate approach. Other states, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and just last year, North Carolina, had put targeted resources behind their music industries, and the results speak for themselves. Stronger small businesses, more music tourism, and better job pipelines for young people entering the industry. We have an existing music ecosystem. We aren't starting from scratch. We've already got the foundation to be a national leader. Over 70 world-class recording studios, music festivals like Savannah Music Festival, Music Midtown, and Shaky Knees bring millions in tourism dollars. Cities like Macon, Athens, and Savannah are already recognized as global music destinations. We have a workforce beyond the stage, venue operators, sound engineers, event staff, music marketers, and small business owners all depend on a thriving music economy. So understanding our existing assets, infrastructure, and industry ecosystem is key to maximizing this full economic potential. Statewide Music Office is a win for local businesses, it's a win for Georgia's workforce, and it's a win for our state's economic development because music is economic development. At its heart, this bill is about jobs, business growth, and keeping Georgia competitive. Let's make sure we support this industry that helps make Georgia thrive. I urge your support for HB 14. Thank you. Unless there are questions, I yield the well.
No questions, Senator, and we appreciate all your hard work on this subject matter. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none, the report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill? All those in favor vote yea, all opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 47. I'm still trying to look at who these 9 are. This bill has received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Must have been the cornbread in there. Secretary read House Bill 233.
House Bill 233, Representative Townsend of the 179th and others, bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 3, Title 50, the official code of Georgia annotated related to other state symbols, as to designate Brunswick stew as the official state stew, to provide for legislative findings, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Brash, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules offers the following substitute to House Bill 233, bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 4 of Title 1 and Title 50 of the official code of Georgia annotated related to holidays and observances in state government, respectively, so as to designate the fourth Friday in November of each year as National Sugarcane Syrup Day in Georgia, to designate Brunswick stew as the official state stew, to designate cornbread as the official state bread, to provide for legislative findings, to prohibit, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Senator from the 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we are going to continue talking about some red-hot legislation, the most important that we're going to do this year. I bring you Senate. We're going to go, by the way, we're going to go from Spotify to the kitchen table with Senate Bill 233, which is an amalgamation of several other very important bills. Section 1 of this bill makes the fourth Friday in November Sugarcane Syrup Day in Georgia, and I can assure you I have had nothing on my pancakes but cane syrup since I was a little kid, and won't have anything else. Section 2 makes Brunswick stew the official stew of Georgia. Brunswick stew certainly has historical and economic significance, particularly to my hometown. I was born and raised in Brunswick, Georgia, and there is absolutely no doubt, no debate whatsoever that Brunswick, Georgia is the origination point of Brunswick stew. And then finally, Section 3, or not finally, but Section 3 designates cornbread as the official bread of Georgia. And I will tell you that I like mine with sour cream and with kernel corn and with cream corn in it. Best in the world. And then we added insignificantly Section 4, which speaks to a foreign country of concern will be ineligible to directly contract with the state agency for good of services, including but not limited to a contract for the procurement or purchase of computers, printers, connecting cables, or interoperable video conferencing services used in connection with an office environment. And a country of concern is defined. A country of concern or scrutinized country means any company owned or operated by a foreign country of concern or country in which the government of a foreign country of concern has an ownership stake. Little background here. In 2022, Governor Kemp signed legislation that we passed prohibiting Chinese owned or operated companies from bidding on state contracts. This language in Section 4.1 is a tweak to House Bill 113, which passed the Senate last week unanimously. Section 4.1 of House Bill 233 specifies certain technology products such as computers, printers, and video conferencing equipment, and closes a loophole that would have allowed these companies to bid on state contracts through third-party vendors. We obviously have concerns about Chinese computers, which include the possibility of espionage, cyber attacks, and unfair trade practices. And according to the China tech threat folks, the state of Georgia has spent $47,259,946 between 2020 and 2022 on several Chinese-backed companies, and this bill would proscribe that. Finally, let me tell you that what we're going to do here is we're going to sit down to our table, to a dinner table, a Brunswick stew, cornbread, cane syrup, and unlike our lunch today, there will be no Chinese food. So I urge favorable consideration. We'll answer any questions if there are any.
Senator from the 50th.
I have a quick question about cane syrup. Is it not true that Waffle House doesn't serve cane syrup?
That what?
Waffle House does not serve cane syrup.
That's why I don't buy waffles at Waffle House.
Well, that was going to be my next question. With the popularity of Waffle House this year, did you consider speaking to the Waffle House lobbyists before introducing this
I
bill?
will be more than glad to, because again, I do not put anything but cane syrup on my waffle.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Recognize the senator from the 41st.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, do you yield? I'm over here.
What?
Over here.
Yes, ma'am, I will yield.
Thank you. Senator, do you know what company makes the state-issued laptops that we all have?
No, but I think I'm about to find out.
Yes. Isn't it true that our laptops are all Lenovo laptops that are manufactured and made in China?
I'm sure the senator knows of what she speaks.
Isn't it true that we also just got brand new laptops
I'm
from
sure the
the
senator
state?
knows of what she speaks.
So is there a fiscal note associated with this this portion of your bill? I know it has many, many parts on the table, but the portion of your bill that talks about not being able to purchase things from foreign adversaries, is there a fiscal note associated?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am, there is no fiscal note.
Senator, I just want to say, isn't it true that I have great concern about the fiscal costs that would come with this, in light of the fact that 56 of us just received new laptops from China, 180 across the hall, along with our admins, and so I just have grave concern about the fiscal impact of having to change out our laptops in such a short period of time.
Senator, I don't think the bill says anything about sending anything back. I think it speaks to future contracts.
Recognize the senator from the 20th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, would you yield, please?
I certainly will.
Isn't it true? I appreciate you bringing this great legislation. I like cornbread in my Brunswick stew. Would that be okay if this bill passed?
Would you say that again? You like cornbread?
So I like to crumble up cornbread in my Brunswick stew.
You know, what's the difference? It all gets in your stomach, and it's the
Would that be all right?
same way anyway. That would be absolutely.
But I don't have to put cane syrup in there.
No, I would not advise that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, the senator from the 16th, the birthday man today.
Sir, thank you. Senator Yield.
I will, and happy
Does this-
birthday to the
does-
senator.
Does this bill protect us from syrup coming from China?
I guess that it does if the state buys it.
How about our Brunswick stew? Can it come from China?
I don't think that that's possible.
You don't think that's
It
possible?
would not be Brunswick stew. I don't think there's a Brunswick China. I may be wrong, but and if there is, it's nothing like the Brunswick, Georgia that I grew up in.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
You're more than welcome.
All right, Senator, you
I
have
think I'm
no
going to
more
yield
bills.
well, Mr. President.
We have a late arriving amendment, and Secretary, read the amendment.
Mr. President, Senator Tillery and of the 19th and others offer the following amendment number 1 to amend the Senate Committee substitute of House Bill 233 by striking Secretary of Commerce on line 90 and replacing it with Treasurer. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the time that we're going to spend on this really important amendment. One of our colleagues wanted to file this and wasn't brave enough to do so themselves, so they asked me to do it. I don't want to call them out at all of who that might be. But the truth is, I don't know the Secretary of Commerce. I hear he's a really good person, really good man. And when we're looking at fighting against foreign adversaries like China, I don't know that I trust someone that I don't know to make the decision of who those foreign adversaries should be. But I do know somebody I trust to make that decision. And that's why I propose this amendment at the urging of the senator from the 21st, because I know that if I have to have someone who has America first, America's interest first, wants to fight for America first, there is nobody other. I can't say his name, but Mr. President, the Senate rules do not bar me from saying his initials. You know who that would be. If you want someone who will stand up for America, who would that be? Nobody other than BLB. I urge your favorable consideration of the amendment, Mr. President. I yield the well, unless, of course, there are questions. Darn.
Hold on. Actually, you do have a later arriving question right quick.
Well,
Senator from the second.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, do you yield?
Always to my friend from the second.
And Senator, I think the treasurer, the gentleman from the 21st and his infinite wisdom and all of his illustriousness, Senator, do you agree that the incoming treasurer would ensure that I-16 would have all the proper and necessary resources to defend itself against all adversaries, especially those that may arise from China, and to have the proper money to fund such endeavors? Would you not agree that that would be an accurate statement?
Foreign and domestic, Senator. Yes, sir.
Absolutely, Senator. And is it not further true that the gentleman from the 21st is of Cajun descent, and that means that individual is a true fighter?
I think the senator knows of what he speaks.
Thank you so much, Senator.
Well, Senator, I do think further, he's told me that third lane of I-16 will be paved in gold. I don't know where he's getting it from, but I've heard it might be paved in gold. Mr. President, if there are no further questions.
He'll just turn on the printing presses up there is all he'll do. Recognize the senator from the 27th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chairman Yield.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, have you ever had the opportunity to discuss with the senator from the 21st his very specific and motivational morning routine?
I've not discussed it with him, but I have heard it. Yes, sir.
Would you mind, do you recall the specific words that the senator speaks to himself every morning, and would you like to recite those with me and the members of this chamber at this time?
Yes, sir. It's a poem. Are we ready for that?
I'm ready.
I think it starts with I. You ready?
I look in the mirror, and what do I see? A good-looking stud named
BLB. Yes, sir. That's what I've heard.
Chairman, do you further yield?
Yes, sir. And I do want to say that if anyone wants to add that, I would consider that to be a friendly amendment to the amendment.
Are you aware that the senator from the 21st's wife has her own version of that song?
Senator, I'm not.
Would you like for
easy
me?
senator now.
Would you like for me to
I
recite
would love
the?
to hear it, but first I must tell you, and if the sergeant of arms needs to read it to you, remember that we do have rules of decorum in this body. We
Understood.
also have rules against disparaging another member of the Senate.
Is it not true that based on the rules of the Senate, I'm going to allow the senator privately to share the words of said song?
Well, that may be true, but Senator, since I can't ask him or can't respond to him directly, I can remind him that if he matches his blue button, he could ask a question that did tell us what his wife might say.
Recognize the senator from the 20th.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the senator yield.
And this is the best part of my day.
Senator, isn't it not true that I think I've sat by the senator from the 21st 10 sessions?
Yes, sir. Your sentence is soon over.
I usually am confused here most of the time, but I'm quite confused, Senator. Maybe you can clarify this for me. But this is a great amendment, but it's not signed by the senator from the 21st.
Yes, sir. He was busy signing dollar bills. Yes, sir.
Well, he's not one to shy away from self-promotion. I figured he was busy doing something. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Senator from the 8th.
Does the senator yield?
I'll always yield to my friend from Grayson.
Senator, I just have to ask a question. I have an amendment here on my desk that is signed by you and the senator from the 18th, the senator from the 50th, and the senator from the 42nd. And this amendment says that the blackberry shall be the official fruit berry of Georgia. Am I the only person that has this amendment on their desk?
No, sir. That was also from the senator from the 21st. If you want to challenge him, I mean, that's on you.
This isn't a real amendment, is it, Senator?
Yeah.
That's for each and every member to decide for themselves. Thank you, Mr. President. If there are no further questions, I yield the well and urge your favorable consideration of this extremely important amendment.
All right. The senator has yielded. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Senator from the 3rd, would you like to close debate?
Thank you, Mr. President. I understand that the duties of the treasurer are many, and I know that that our senator from the 21st, when he's not senator from the 21st anymore, will be spending all day signing those dollar bills as they come off the printing press and counting the gold bars at Fort Knox. And I wonder what other duties that President Trump will be giving to the new treasurer. And I'm wondering if among those new duties will be the ability to designate a foreign adversary. Do you know that? That's a question for the senator from the 21st. You do not know that. Okay. All righty. Well, I would suggest that until such time as President Trump bestows upon his new treasurer the ability to designate foreign countries of concern, that we disregard the amendment, but we don't disregard our love for the senator. I yield the well.
That was a real nice way of saying that, Senator. That was just sweet as cornbread. All right. All right. The question is on the amendment number 1, authored by the senator from the 19th. Is there objection to amendment number 1? We have objection. All those in favor of amendment number 1 will vote aye. All opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. Mr. Treasurer, you remember who those 17 are now. On the adoption of amendment number 1, the yeas are 17 and the nays are 36. And the field trip to Fort Knox just got fewer folks on it, didn't it? All right. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 27th, for what purpose you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
I know the United States Treasurer is an extremely prestigious position. Are you aware of the academic requirements to fulfill such a role?
You know, I'm not sure of the requirements. I know it's a very distinguished group of Ivy League and economists that have held those positions. But I would say the senator from the 21st was very useful when he was at LSU. He was probably part of that bottom third that made the top 2/3 possible, you know, so he's always been a team player. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Secretary reads House Bill 586.
House Bill 586 by Representative Williamson of the 112th and others. Bills being entitled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 6 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated related to intangible recorded taxes to revise the notes for which such tax is imposed, to provide for procedures, to revise definitions, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Huffstetler, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance offers the following substitute to House Bill 586, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 6 of Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated related to intangible recording tax so as to revise the notes for which such tax is imposed, to provide for procedures, to revise the definitions, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Senator from the 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a banking bill, and to the best of my knowledge, it has absolutely nothing to do with the Treasurer of the United States. I bring you House Bill 586. The purpose of the bill is to redefine the time frame of a long-term note secured by real estate to more than 62 months for more than 36 months when any principal of the note falls due. By extending this time frame, House Bill 586 extends the period when the intangible recording tax does not apply to such loan. This is a banking bill, but it's not for banks, it's for consumers, and it's for small business owners. Lengthening the definition of a long-term note secured by real estate from 36 to 62 months will be beneficial to borrowers of residential and commercial loans held with banks of all sizes. On the residential side, in particular, banks that serve low to moderate income areas of the state would be better positioned to tailor mortgage products that would benefit borrowers, especially those who do not qualify for traditional, conventional 30-year mortgage loans. The term could be longer than 36 months while retaining the benefit of keeping closing costs lower, since the intangible recording tax would not be applicable. This could help promote affordable housing. Currently, many banks have 35-month residential loan programs to keep initial closing costs as low as possible. Longer duration loan would give these homeowners more time to consider other options when the initial loan matures, increasing the likelihood of housing stability. For small business owners, those small business owners financing the purchase of their operating buildings with 35-month loans would similarly benefit. Longer duration loan with lower closing costs give those borrowers more time to consider options when the original loan matures. And then finally, additionally, Regulation Z, the Truth in Lending Act, contains requirements to assure that balloon payment mortgage loans meet certain consumer protection standards. One of those requirements is that the balloon payment must come due at least 5 years after the first payment is due on the mortgage, which obviously would be 61 or 62 months from the loan's origination. So a 62-month duration is needed in this bill to allow banks to comply with the consumer protection requirement. When this federal requirement was established, balloon payment mortgage loans, this happened before the intangible recording tax was established. I can tell you that in the time that I was a banker, if I had a dime for every time I did a 35-month loan with a balloon on it, I would be a very rich man. So I ask favorable consideration, would be glad to answer any questions. Thank you. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. Previous question is ordered. Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 55, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Secretary Reed, House Bill 645.
House Bill 645 by Representative LaHood of the 175th and others. The bill is being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7, Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to the regulation of hospitals and related institutions so as to repeal certain provisions requiring COVID-19 testing of staff members in long-term care facilities to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson, Chairman. Mr. President, Senator Watson of the first offers the following amendment number 1 to amend House Bill 645, replacing line 3 with the following, requiring COVID-19 testing and to authorize influenza vaccinations to provide for by inserting between lines 11 and 12 the following. Said article is further amended in Code Section 31-7-18 related to vaccinations for influenza and related items by replacing 50 with 18 in subsection A, Section 3. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the good doctor from Savannah, Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. President. So during the peak of COVID in the spring of 2020, we enacted legislation that required assisted living, skilled nursing facilities to test all the residents for COVID and all the new hires. And indeed, that did save lives. But now, according to I will tell you personally, I review all the our weekend care and urgent care, and that flu here recently has far outpaced COVID. And as you know, COVID is by multiple mutations is not lethal as it was. As a matter of fact, hospitalization rates from nursing home residents is 3 times more likely to have flu a couple months ago during our peak season, which many of us here had flu. What we're doing in this bill, if you'll look specifically, we are repealing the testing of residents and staff in long-term care facilities. And my amendment actually updates the influenza vaccination that's being offered to discharge on patients in the hospital. Current guidelines has changed that from age 50 down to age 18 from that standpoint. So if it's not available, it's not offered, and it is offered and not mandated. With that, Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you. Ask for your favorable consideration.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Oh, we got a minute. All right. Questions on the adoption? Yeah. No other senators like to speak to the amendment? To the underlying bill? Questions on the adoption of amendment number 1? Is there objection to amendment number 1? There is objection. All those in favor of amendment number 1 vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the adoption of Amendment 1, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 3. And this amendment has been adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed as amended. Secretary Reed, House Bill 582.
House Bill 582 by Representative Gunter of the 8th and others, the bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 16, 17, and 24 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to crimes and offenses, criminal procedure, and evidence respectively, so as to provide for defendants to support a justification defense by offering evidence of family violence, dating violence, or child abuse committed by the alleged victim, to provide for a privilege for participation in victim-centered programs and victim-offender dialogues, to provide for definitions, to provide for limitations, to provide for civil immunity for facilitators in certain circumstances, to provide for a short title, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by a substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary offers the following substitute to House Bill 582, bill to be entitled an act to amend Titles 16, 17, and 24, the OCGA, related to crimes and offenses, criminal procedure, and evidence respectively, so as to provide for dependents to support a justification defense by offering evidence of family violence, dating violence, or child abuse committed by the alleged victim, and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senator Strickland, 42nd, and others offer the following amendment. Number 1, to amend the Senate Committee on Judiciary substitute to House Bill 582 by replacing lines 1 and 2 with the following. To amend Titles 16, 17, 24, and 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to crimes and offenses, criminal procedure, evidence, and public officers and employees, respectively, so as to provide for defendants by inserting before and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the 50th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to bring you a more serious matter than we've had in the last couple of bills. I know we've had some fun today, but if you would just give me your attention, this is called the Georgia Survivor Justice Act. And as most of you know, in the state of Georgia, according to the CDC, 1 in 4 women will experience physical abuse from their intimate partner at some time during their lifetime. As a father of 4 daughters, that hits pretty close to home. What House Bill 582 does is it gives those who are victims a second chance, those who are victims who have been found guilty of another crime a second chance. Between 74 and 95% of women who are incarcerated have experienced domestic violence or sexual violence. House Bill 582 would prevent survivors from serving long sentences for conduct needed for their own survival. House Bill 582 would allow Georgia's criminal law to catch up with society's modern understanding of domestic violence dynamics. It would enable the criminal justice system to better consider the circumstances and context of a defendant's survivors by doing the following. Section 2 would recognize self-defense. Traditional self-defense requires an immediate threat of death or serious injury. However, for victims of domestic violence, when violence and the threat of violence has been constant or has been escalated over time, assessed risk is based on a history of abuse. Section 2 of HB 582 allows survivors the ability to present self-defense by offering the full context of an abusive history. Section 3 acknowledges coercion. Coercive control is a power and control dynamic abusers use against their victims. For victims of domestic violence, the ongoing threat of harm, terror, and manipulation can lead to their being coerced, to them being coerced into actions against their will. Dynamics not currently considered under Georgia law. Section 4 creates a path for survivors in prison. Many survivors are currently in prison for taking actions needed for their survival. This section provides them with a mechanism to request resentencing under our evolved understanding of domestic violence. Section 5 deals with proportionate sentencing for survivors. Even in cases where a conviction is imposed, mitigating factors paint a fuller picture for sentencing. Current law has not been adequate in ensuring survivors do not receive overly harsh sentences for conduct in which abuse was a significant contributing factor to their offense. And lastly, Sections 6 and 7 enable victim-centered programs. Crime survivors regularly report needing a diverse set of tools to address and repair harm. Enabling victim-centered programs will respond to this need while helping survivors heal. This is a good bill. It prevents those who have been accused of a crime from having to serve sentences when they were faced with the decision of whether to protect themselves or commit a crime, whether to stand up to their abusers or commit a crime. And when someone makes those choices, I don't think they should be punished as harshly, or at least they should have the opportunity to paint the full picture. With that, Mr. President, I'm happy to answer any questions concerning this bill.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is an amendment, and I consider it a friendly amendment. The author in the House considers it a friendly amendment, and I think my friend from the 42nd will be talking about that too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 42nd to speak to his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Amendment 1 is actually what was House Bill 384 that passed unanimously in the House, was unanimous in the Senate Judiciary Committee. It's sticking on the floor today. But it's an important bill, and as you'll see, it clarifies the fact that no public officer, and in particular including peace officers, can be prosecuted for violating their oath of office unless there's an underlying crime they committed that's a high and aggravated misdemeanor or a felony. And that's important because you look at the existing law, the punishment for someone being prosecuted for violating their oath of office rises to that level from 1 to 5. And so we have a little hole in the law we need to clarify here to make certain that if someone's going to be prosecuted that's a law enforcement officer or any other public officer, that there actually is an underlying offense they committed at the same time. It also, in Section 9, well, the way the amendment's written, Section 9 of the bill will include the part that standardizes what the oath is for our peace officers as well. It comes at the request of our law enforcement community. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. Questions on the adoption of Amendment Number 1, authored by the senator from the 42nd. Is there objection to Amendment Number 1? Without objection, Amendment Number 1 is adopted. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute as amended. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute as amended? Hearing none, the committee substitute as amended is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. All the passages of the bill, the yeas are 53, the nay is 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Secretary read House Bill 567.
House Bill 567 by Representative Dembski with the 13th and others. The bill to be entitled Act to amend Article 2, Chapter 11 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to licenses for the practice of dentistry so as to authorize and regulate teledentistry by licensed dentists in the state, to provide for definitions, to provide for exemptions and conditions, to provide for authorized practices, to provide for referred dentists, to provide for ownership of documents, to provide for a limited number of dental hygienists to perform teledentistry under certain conditions, to provide for rules and regulations, to amend Article 1 of Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to general provisions of insurance, so as to allow for coverage of dental services provided through teledentistry, to provide for related matters, to provide for an effective date, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services offers the following substitute to House Bill 567, a bill to be entitled Act to amend Article 2, Chapter 11, Title 43, the OCGA related to licenses for the practice of dentistry so as to authorize and regulate teledentistry by licensed dentists in the state, to provide for definitions and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the Senator from the 48.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I bring you House Bill 567, teledentistry. You may recall this bill from last year. It passed this chamber, it passed the House, and unfortunately had a billing error that caused our wonderful governor to have to veto it. So we've made a couple of minor changes, and I think everybody's on board. HB 567 will authorize and regulate the practice of teledentistry by Georgia licensed dentists and hygienists via the Georgia Board of Dentistry to ensure patient safety remains the priority while maintaining a continuous standard of care and sustaining the Georgia licensed dentist as the leader of the oral health care team. It allows patients without a dental home to establish care with a dental provider in order to receive a consultation and direct appropriate care. It allows dentists to use teledentistry to use hygienists to perform specific hygiene functions permitted under general supervision. In accordance with existing law, it requires the patient and dentist both be physically located in Georgia, with the dentist verifying the patient's location identity and obtaining patient consent. What it does not do, it does not create unreasonable scope expansions. It does not replace the need for in-person dental exams and procedures. It does not require patients to sign waivers releasing providers of liability at any time. It does not change what is currently allowed under any part of the General Supervision Code. It does not negatively impact oral health care currently allowed in Title I schools, preschools, long-term care facilities, and nursing homes, and it does not mandate insurance coverage of teledentistry. That was the key from last year. It's a pretty simple, straightforward bill. Most of you have seen this before. Happy to answer any questions.
Senator.
I ask your favorable consideration for HB 567. I yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. Previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52 and the nays are 1. This bill having received a requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed by substitute. Secretary read House Bill 36.
House Bill 36 by Representative Lever of the 123rd and others, bills being titled and act to amend Title 29 of the OCGA related to guardian awards as to revise the list of providers who are authorized to participate in the processes for appointment of a guardian for an adult, the modification and termination of such guardianship, and the appointment of emergency guardian, to revise the list of providers who are authorized to participate in the processes for appointment of a conveyor for an adult, to the modification and the termination of such conveyorship, and the appointment of the emergency conservator, to provide for limitations in the powers and duties of certain emergency conservators, to revise and provide for definitions, to provide for related matters, for bill convoking laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respect with minutes. Senator Strickland, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary offers the following substitute to House Bill 36, a bill to be entitled and act to amend Title 29 of the OCGA related to guardian awards, so as to revise the list of providers who are authorized to participate in the processes for appointment of a guardian for an adult, the modification and termination of such guardianship, and the appointment of an emergency guardian, to revise the list of providers who are authorized to participate in the processes for the appointment of a conservator for an adult, and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senator Eccles of the 49th and others offer the following amendment number 1 to amend House Bill 86 by deleting marriage and family therapist, or each time it occurs, by deleting marriage and therapy therapist each time it occurs. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the first.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring you House Bill 36. This is originally brought by the probate court judges and the House representative, basically because of the logjam or delays that they're experiencing when it comes to appointing a guardian or conservatorship. So they wanted to expand the folks who can do this and related to that. The currently only physicians, psychologists, and licensed clinical social workers are authorized to do the evaluation, and this is on folks with developmental disabilities. So it adds physicians' assistants, nurse practitioners, and clinical nurse specialists with special training in psychiatric and mental health, marriage and family therapists, and professional counselors. But in agreement with the probate judges and with the author in the House, you'll see the amendment that the senator from the 49th, who's well-versed in developmental disability issues, removes and strikes and deletes marriage and family therapist. So that is an amendment that certainly I'm in agreement with, that he sponsored and I signed it, and the author is in the House is in agreement with it, and the probate judges are in agreement with it. So basically for an evaluation, to perform this evaluation, this will be for PAs, physicians assistants, nurse practitioners, clinical nurse specialists, psychiatric mental health, and licensed professional counselors. And all those with training, their training includes developmental disability. But let me just say that you'll see in Section 12 of the bill that an adult shall not be presumed to be in need of a conservative solely based on the findings of an adult, one or more developmental disabilities as defined in the paragraph. So that will not be any of the criteria for those with developmental disabilities when it comes to guarantors or conservatorship. And that's what it does. Mr. President, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Ask for your favorable consideration.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. Senator, for the 41st, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Was the amendment withdrawn or spoken to?
Good call, Senator. Missed it. Senator from the 49th, would you like to speak to the amendment?
Senator spoke to it, so no.
You're
I'm
good?
Yeah, I'm good. If he's
Okay.
good, I'm good.
I'm sorry, I would like to speak.
I didn't hear what he said.
In favor or
Oh,
support?
shoot. Senator from the 41st, you'd like to speak on the amendment?
Yes.
All right, come on. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Well's yours. Senator from the 41st waives. So, question is on amendment number 1. Is there objection to amendment number 1? There is objection. I have objection for amendment number 1. All right. All those in favor of amendment number 1 will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 1st.
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that this amendment is one that we have carefully crafted with the Council of Developmental Disabilities, probate judges, and the author of this bill? And the Senator from 49th and I are all in full agreement with this amendment.
No question, y'all have worked a lot of hours on this bill and to craft it perfectly, or best you can get to. Senator from the 41st.
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that people who have an LMFT also have very substantial training, just like a LPC does? Isn't it true?
No, the senator's passionate about what she speaks. On the adoption of amendment number 1, the yeas are 38, the nays are 13, and this amendment has been adopted. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute as amended. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute as amended? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is amended. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill? All those in favor vote yea. All opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, nays are 4. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Secretary Reed, House Bill 148.
House Bill 148 by Representative Carson, the 46th, and others. Bills being titled an act to amend Chapter 3 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to accountants so as to revise provisions related to education experience requirements of certified public accountants, to revise provisions related to licensure of firms practicing public accountancy, to revise provisions related to reciprocity, to conform terminology to amend Article 1 of Chapter 81 of Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to local government budget and audit, so as to conform a cross-reference to provide for related matters derived from an effective date to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowsert, Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would first, before I get into this bill, I'd like to thank some people that have worked so hard on this bill. And that's Vice President of Legislative Affairs, Don Cook, Board Search, who is the Executive Director of Georgia Society of CPAs, and Ms. Catherine Flesher, who is the current Chairman of the Board of Georgia Society of CPAs. This provides a new pathways for people to receive their CPA license. And just like all other professions that I know of and I talk to, we all have shortage of qualified people in our profession, and this provides two other pathways in addition to what we have now. So Georgia currently has a structure that's been in place since 1998, but presently does not meet the needs of our profession. Currently, the Georgia Public Accounting Act requires CPA candidates. Currently, the Georgia Public Accounting Act requires CPA candidates to pass all parts of the CPA exam, complete 150 hours of credit hours qualifying education, and gain 1 year of relevant work experience before becoming a licensed CPA. This House bill does not change that at all. In fact, it adds 2 more waves to it. But this is an attempt to address the profession's demands and some of the challenges in getting to licensure. House Bill 148 proposes to add 2 other ways to become a Georgia licensed CPA, as well as establishing practice privilege requirements for out-of-state CPAs to practice in Georgia. So let's talk about the pathways, all 3 of them, the existing and 2 new ones. So under this bill, beginning January 1, 2026, the Georgia State Board of Accountancy will be able to license a person as a CPA. First one is what we already have, completes 150 credit hours of qualifying education, has at least 1 year of relevant work experience, and passes the CPA exam. Number 2, and that's what I fell under, I was licensed under, I had a bachelor's degree with emphasis in accounting, as established by the Georgia State Board of Accountancy, and I had at least 2 years of experience, and I had to pass the CPA exam. And it did take me 5 times to pass it. Also, the third measure is that you have a master's degree with emphasis in accounting, as established by the State Board, and at least 1 year experience, and pass the CPA exam. So this is allowing us to go from one way to become a CPA to actually 3 ways, and in no way does it diminish the credibility of our profession. In many places, our profession is held esteem among all other professions. So these pathways are being looked at by many other states. So let me just tell you in conclusion, House Bill 148 provides Georgia with 2 new routes to a CPA licensure, as well as practice privilege requirements that will make it more efficient for all out-of-state CPAs to provide audit services in Georgia. This bill is backed by the Georgia Society of CPAs, Georgia State Board of Accountancy, and the national accounting firms. This bill passed the House 172-0 and passed the Senate Committee 8-0. Mr. President, I yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. Previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the committee report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. Report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, yeas are 52 and nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Mr. President, I move the Senate table the remaining legislation on the Senate rules calendar.
All right. Is there objection? Without objection, they are tabled. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to stand at ease for dinner. I know the pro tem's got dinner for the chamber and everything. So we're going to stand at ease. It's in the secretary's break room, is where the dinner will be. And we'll try to reconvene by 7:20, 7:30, I guess. I was trying to get us out of here, y'all. I was trying to get us out of here, but they overruled me. All right, everybody go have dinner. Enjoy it. We'll stand at ease.